Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, thank you for responding. May you have a clear voice for my sessions today. Good afternoon, Angel. Good afternoon, Yasin and Venice. We're still waiting two more, but I think we need to starting with what we should do in this class today. When you're looking out at the virtual class, this our sessions is comes to the sessions 13, and I put the material in here for optimizations and uncertainty. This is continuing for the last meeting that we talk about the optimizations, and we have some exercise, but there is no submissions for your exercise. The submission is should be in here in these sessions because we will to combine about how to optimize your data and create some analysis in even of the uncertainty. So for today, we have a new exercise tables from the investments, and I think we will start with exercise in the virtual class, and then you need to continue and upload your exercise sessions from your individual exercise. Okay, when you look at the materials, we have the PowerPoints here and the exercise in Microsoft Excel. Okay, before I start the meetings, any questions so far from the students regarding for the last meetings or for the previous sessions from Venice, Yasin, or Sitabel?
None, sir.
Thank you for responding, Venice. Yeah. While you doesn't have any questions, we need to continue for our sessions. We start about the data analysis, continuing our last sessions about the optimizations, and today we will add with some conditions for our data. We call the uncertain factor, or we have the uncertainty of problems. What we learned today, we still talk about the optimizations. It's the circumstances is under from the linear of programming. So when you do with the optimizations, please ensure that you have the statistical models in a linear programming. But be careful, we have the limitations to create some objects, or the formula of our statistic model will be fit or suitable for our exercise. So we need to learn that we have the minimum or the maximum of variables. Some of the data have the different kind of the minimum value or the maximum value. What is the meaning of the minimum value? The minimum value, we talk about the lowest score from your data. Sometimes we have a zero score, but in some of cases, we doesn't have non-zero score. For examples, in the kind of the fault of the accounting or the faults of the auditing, we need to base off the evidence. We need to find some um, the limitations of our standard in accounting. So that must be a score or one of a finding in our exercise. But we doesn't have minus conditions for the minimum objects, because it's still we still have evidence even they are in a zero of evidence. That's the first conditions. The second conditions we found about the constraint of our data. It's talk about the limitations of our data, maybe in a decimals, or maybe in a thousands, or maybe in the um, units, or maybe we have lots of restriction about your data. Sometimes it could be analyzed because there's not much data that could be sum up of exercising, or maybe it's a lack of evidence. We need to make some considerations about them. The next problems is about the changing of the value. For examples, in our behavioral accounting, or for our exercising in about the accounting for the climate change, we have the changing value about uh, the Celsius, or for the grade of our heat wave, or maybe for our conditions in our country. So how about with your data? It's also make some changing value. Sometimes we have a different observations in a different time. Maybe in 2020 and 2024, we have the difference value for maybe depend on the inflations, the price factor, and the others. And the last conditions, be careful if we have the non-negative value. It should be in a zero conditions or in a positive conditions. The minus conditions could be accepted for any circumstances. So there needs to be some assumptions that they will be allowed for minus conditions. But in the overalls, we accept for the zero or positive reactions. Okay, yeah. What we should do when we found about the restrictions or limited conditions. In the statistical models, we have four solutions to be doables in our analysis. Number one is we need to find about the feasible solutions. The feasible solutions means that we need to accepted all of our constraints. So we need to feel satisfied with any constraints that under our data. Sometimes we cannot make some uncontrollable factors, or sometimes we doesn't have lots of data, or maybe lack of the conditions of data. So we need to accept it, all of that. That's kind of the feasible solutions. The next solutions over in the statistical models is about the feasible regions. We need to do like the feasible solutions, like the option number ones. But we have the spatial regions, or we have the spatial area that could be comfort with our, or suitable with our conditions, or we need to set our feasible conditions in a specific area or in the specific regions. The next solutions is over about how we find the opposites of the feasible solutions. We call infeasible solutions. What is the meaning of invisible solutions? Where we can find about the negative factors, like how we violate the constraint, how we disallow the constraints, or how we against the constraints. So the focus of our data is not about the satisfy conditions or feasible solutions, but we need against with the limitations, against with the allowance. So we need to observe the opposite conditions in normal conditions. So in the specific times, we called about, we looking at the abnormal conditions. So the abnormal conditions will impact it to our invisible solutions. The last one is about the optimal solutions. The solutions that could be taken or could be decided while we have any kind of objections or any kind of options, and we need to create with one the best options, or the best from the worst case. So we called about the optimal solutions. So for to do that, we need to make some simplex methods. It's called about the sensitivity of analysis. You need to compare lots of models and find with the biggest coefficient of determinations or with the best fit model or maybe with the best of the R square. So this is the solutions over for the conditions in a data analytics with uncertain factors. To complete our solutions, we need to create about the decisions. Well, we have a data and we have the uncertain factor, and we have the uncertain conditions. We still need to make some decisions. So the decisions will be over in category like the alternatives. You need to make some alternatives for the plan A, plan B, plan C, and the others. Or you can make some probabilities or the quantifications of your data. The next, we need to make some decisions and create some affections, to maybe affecting for the dependent variables or it be qualified for the independence variables. So what we should do about making some alternatives or probability, we need to make a simulations model. The simulations could be divided into 4 conditions. It's depend on our data. Lastly, it depends on our data. Sometimes we have the data, it's not in a discrete number. They are in the continuous number or in the decimal number. So we have a difference analysis between discrete and continuous number. The another analysis will be different is we have the symmetric condition or a skew conditions. What is the mean of the symmetric conditions? The symmetric conditions uh, will have will make some any objections or any analysis will be in a possibility of for the positive and negative in a similar way or in equal conditions. But if you doesn't think that your data not completely divide in equal conditions, it could be in a skew, even they are skew right or skew left. We need to make some simulations and compare with the symmetric conditions. The next one is about simulation, is about the bounded and unbounded conditions. The bounded conditions, it make with your data, it have a lot of restrictions. You need to think, you need to consider for any restrictions like the controls variables or maybe with the moderating variables. But the opposite of that is about the unbounded conditions. The unbounded, it thinks that you need to feel free all of your data and will be connected with any kind of possibility. We have for the maximum probability called the maximum of likelihood. The last one is about the non-negative and unrestricted. Some of data could be interpreted in a positive value. Even they have a zero, they cannot be interpreted. For example, if you have the logarithmic functions or the natural of logarithm, they doesn't have make some score with the minus value or zero value. It will be break of the rules with the Pythagoras of theorem, and we need to create some analysis using the unrestricted models. So we need to think about that, consider about the score or value containing in your data. So based on these situations, we need to make the best options for any kind of simulations between the discrete and continuous, the symmetric or asymmetric conditions, even they are in a skew, the bounded and unbounded, and also with the non-negative and unrestricted model. So how we do with some exercise, we have any exercise in your virtual class. I upload or take it with the Microsoft Excel, take with the name of optimizations and uncertainty. Okay. Let's have a look with these informations. Okay. In your investment data, you got three conditions. How to make some profits. We have the three factors that will be affected to our profits. The first one, if you have an investment in a government bonds. The second one, you have investments in a private bonds. And the last ones, you need to share your investment in kind of stock returns. So which one the maximum profit that we can do in these positions? So to make some solution for these conditions, we need to map for uncertain factors. As an individuals, we need to compare even we have one investment tools or more than one investment tools. In this case, we have lots of options. I will take here. We have some options. The option number one, if we only invest on government bonds. The option number two is if we have some investment in private bonds. Sorry, we have then individuals investment. What kind of individuals? You can invest on government bonds, private bonds, or stock. This is the first options. So in the first options, we still have three analysis to do with these informations. Okay. The second options have how we have a double of investment. A double of investment is take some options. If we want to compare about the government bonds and private bonds. Government bonds and stock. And also with the private bonds and stock. This is the combinations. So we have three and three combinations. We have a six options. So where is the optimal we need to do with this analysis? And the last ones, we have the triple investment. So in this case, we need to combine with the government bonds, the private bonds, and stock options. So this for this exercise, we can make seven model of uncertain conditions. Okay, we need to make a seven model of uncertain conditions. Which one is for our decision? It's very powerful. It's a very accessible for our analysis. We need to compare with this kind of models. So we need to analyze using the regressions, right? The regressions start in here. Okay, let's start about the individual of analysis. For the individual analysis, we need to analyze the profits. Start with the government bonds only. The government bonds only. Let's say that we need to take in this one. This is for government bonds only. Okay. The second point, if we have some analysis with a private bonds only. Okay, we got it. We can compare with the second options. The last ones, we need to make some analysis with a stock only. Okay, and then we need to compare. I need to create some new table in here. Okay, our options, we need what we should compare. We need to compare about the condition of R square. And then we need to compare about the F score or F significance. And then the coefficients. The coefficients. Okay. We have the three options for the government bonds, the private bonds, and stock. The R square of government bonds is here. The significations is here, and the coefficients is this one. The private bonds, we have the R square, the significance, and the score. How about this one? The stock. The stock comes from the R square, the significance, and the coefficients. Okay. For the next, I will combine with the government bonds and private bonds. Private bonds with and stock. Government bonds, private bonds, stock. Let's do with the three kind of analysis. Let's make some combination of government bonds and private bonds. Government bonds and the private bonds. Let's make it here. Yeah. The next one is private bond and stock. And the last one is combining all of the variables. Government bonds, private bonds, stock. Okay, let's make some analysis. Government bonds and private bonds. We have the R square here. We have the observations here and the coefficients. The coefficient of government bonds and private bonds is combining all of the coefficient here. So we need to make a sum function. Similar with the private bonds and a stock. and all the options here. Okay, this is our analysis so far. So far, this is analysis so far. Okay, let's focus with this analysis. The comparisons between government bonds, private bonds, stock, and the combinations with the double of investment, government bond and private bonds, and also with the triples conditions, right? We have the informations like the R square, the significance, and the coefficients. The first analysis comes from the R square. The best options of R square is the biggest one. Well, the biggest one of the R square comes from this analysis. So the second one is about the significance. You need to find where is the significance models. At least that you have the standardizations of alpha. While let's say we have the 5% of alpha, we have lots of models that having a good positions. In this one, the second one is here, 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 and here. So under the conditions of the significance of F, we have 5 models that should be very relevant. The last one is about thinking about the coefficients. We need to find what is the best profits that we can do. If you only invest on the government bonds, you only have a profits for 49%. If you have the investment only in private bonds, you have the minus of profits. It is similar with investment on your stock only. If you do with combinations between a government bonds and the private bonds, you also have 47% of profits. But if you need to combine private bonds and a stock, you also a minus. So we need to exclude these informations. See? Do you know how we exclude or why we exclude these informations for these 3 conditions? Do you know what is the reasons? Venice, Glynis, Yasin, or Citabel? Why we need exclude of these informations?
Because, sir, it is not the best option for gaining a profit.
Yeah, there's not the best options for best profit. That's a good answer, Venice. Because we have the minus profit. If your profit is minus, it means you are in a deficit. You are in a loss. So why we need to make some investment while we have some loss of forecasting? So if you want to invest your fund or invest your money, you need to think or you need to have once some profits, not some of loss with your investments. So there is the nice of Yeah, it could have a downward effect on profits. Good. Yeah, because there's having a negative of profits. So we need to exclude with these options. So please take out for the private bonds, stock, and private bond and stock. We still have the positive profit in here if we want to invest in government bond only, or we can do with the government bond and private bonds. And then we have the government bond, private bonds, and a stock. So we still have three options. Which one do you choose? You can think about any kind of preference. If you want the highest preference, you can choose with the government bonds only because it's the highest one, 49%. The second one is the combinations between government bonds and the private bonds. The last one is about the triple combinations between government bond, private bonds, and stock. So if you make for these ones, for the best options, it's okay. If you think that the government bond and private bond is the best option, it's still okay. If you think the combination of the triple of investment, it's also still okay. Since they have the positive profits and they have the positive or R square and the significance of F. But which one is very significant is comes from the significance of F. The lowest score, it's identified that you have the very significant effect. You can choose with the government bond only, but the effect is only like this one. But the best affected investment is take on these conditions. Why this is the best options? Because they're still in a profit 41%. I know it's below the combinations from government bond and private bonds, and also with the government bonds only. But in the significance of affected, it's a very low. So it means that it's very affections or they have a more magnitude that could be generate some income from your investment. If you invest in a government bonds only, they will make some inflations and you cannot cover for the lowest. But if you have combines in lots of assets, maybe government bonds make some inflated conditions. The private bonds have the opposite condition, and also stock, you still have with combination of profits. So in the finance, we called about the risk diversifications. You need to diversify your risk of investment. So this one is very impactful in our analysis because statistically they comes with the highest effect of ANOVA or significant of F, and they still have the positive value for the profits. This is how we elaborate the condition of uncertainty. This one is the condition of uncertainty. So for the next meetings or for the next exercise, we still miss one formula, the combinations between government bonds and stock. Government bonds and stock. We missed that. This is your exercise. You need to find about the score of these informations and then compare to the others. Which one the best? You want to individual investment like this one. You make some combinations like this one or the triple combinations. So please do individually and ensure me or that you can do with this analysis. I will show you with we have a lot of analysis in here because we need to compare for the individual analysis and the double analysis on the triple analysis, and you need to compare with these informations. So after all, we need to find the best options, and the best options is depend on your preference. You can upload your exercise here, and I give you time for a day off until the next day off. You can make some exercise and create some decisions, and please choose one where is the best option of investment that you think that's very beneficial, especially for you. There is no wrong answer, but it's talk about the analysis. Doesn't worry about the wrong answers. Please choose with the best options and create some preference why you choose for this one. Okay. Any questions so far from Venice, Clinis, Yasin, or Citabel?
None, sir.
None, sir.
Okay, thank you for responding. So, just for answers, today only Oliver missing the class, right?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
yeah. Since you doesn't have any questions so far, I think you can continue our sessions with your individual exercise, and you can upload your exercise into our virtual class. I give you time until tomorrow, and we will see you again in the next meeting and make some preparations with any kind of analysis. We still do in the same topic for the uncertainty, but for in the different cases, and please prepare about your analysis in for the final test using the optimizations and uncertainty. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for Yasin, Venice, Citabel, and Denise, and we'll see you again in the next meeting for the next Monday. See you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
You're
sir.
welcome.